Alright, Shalom, this is the brother Atazamamia from GMS South Carolina camp. I want to first and foremost give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Shanam Shai. Double honors to the elders of Great Millstone talking his truth. Shalom to the Akim out there pushing the truth and sincerity. Alright, this is a short lesson, Lord's will, to address. I was watching the video between ISUPK versus Bro Polite, and he tried to stress astrology or astronomy, okay, and the other guy that was part of ISUPK, he said it don't matter, and Bro Polite was like, well, it does matter, but he was trying to stress where that came from. So in this lesson, we're gonna prove, number one, that knowledge of astrology, astronomy, okay, alright, was given to Abraham, alright, the forefather of the Israelites, okay, and then the further proof that gift of astrology or astronomy was given to the tribe of Issachar, which is so-called Mexicans, alright, and that King Solomon, which was the wisest man on the planet, okay, he also had that knowledge, okay, and Israel always had and possessed that ability to know the signs of the times, alright, and that the Lord, that it is important to address the other guy because the Lord told us to look for certain signs in the heaven, okay. So it's basically to clarify that whole situation, alright. So let's get where my glasses at? Shit. Okay, here it is. Let's get started. Alright. First, let's go to the origins. Alright. Now this is we pulling this information from the Josephus. Alright. The works of the Josephus. No, it's not a prophecy. Alright, because you had some simple ass nigga trying to convince me that it's a book of prophecy. No, it's just a book that has that was written by an Israelite who was a historian. Okay, all right. So let me get this scripture real quick. Okay, where we're gonna be pulling this info from. This is Genesis chapter 12, verse 10. It says, "And there was a famine in the land," talking about in the land of Canaan, where Abram, who is Abraham, went to sojourn. Okay, so it was a famine in the land of Canaan. And Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. Okay, alright. So where we pulling this info from is when Abram went down into Egypt, alright, and he was amongst the Egyptians. Okay. Alright. Okay. So it's from that portion of the story. Okay, so I'm gonna pull it out from here. This is from the Antiquities of the Jews, book 1, chapter 7, point 2. It says Beroes mentions our father Abram without naming him when he said thus, "In the 10th generation after the flood, there was among the Chaldeans a righteous and great, a man righteous and great, skillful in the celestial science." Now the word celestial means pertaining to heaven. Okay, so he was gifted or given with the knowledge from heaven. Okay, because the Lord was dealing with Abraham. Alright. Alright. To know the times and all that. Because Abraham was a prophet. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 3. Verse 13. It says, "Now when they lived so wickedly before thee, thou didst choose thee a man from among them, whose name was Abraham. Him thou lovest, and unto him only thou showest thy will." So at that time the Lord was specifically dealing with Abram or Abraham. Okay, and he was imparting unto him this knowledge of the heavens, because celestial means pertaining to the heavens. Okay, which the Heavenly Father dwells in the heavens. And also the things like the stars, the moon, all that. He had that knowledge. And the word science means knowledge. Okay. Alright. It says, verse 14, 2 Esdras 3 and 14. Him thou lovest, and unto him only thou showest thy will, and madest an everlasting covenant with him, promising him that thou wouldest never forsake his seed. Okay. That's right. Because Abraham had knowledge of the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay. Back then. It was around the time of Abraham. Okay. And he also had the Lord's name, which we proved in a further lesson. This is out of the Apocrypha, Ecclesiasticus 44:19. It says, Abraham was a great father of many people, and glory was there none like unto him, who kept the law of the Most High, and was in covenant with him. He established the covenant in his flesh, circumcision, and when he was proved, he was found faithful, meaning when the Lord tried him by saying to offer up Isaac, which I did a lesson on that. Okay, it says, therefore he assured him by an oath that he will bless the nations in his seed, and that he would multiply him as the dust of the earth, and extol his seed as the stars, and cause them to inherit from sea to sea, and from the river unto the uttermost part of the land. Okay, alright. And one more, Tobit, out the Apocrypha, Tobit chapter 4 verse 12. It says, beware of all whoredom, my son, and chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers, and take not a strange woman to wife, which is not of thy father's tribe. For we are the children of the prophets, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, so Abraham was a prophet. Okay, and he had the foreknowledge of the knowledge of the heavens. Okay, all right. That's why I said back in the Josephus, it said about Abraham, it says that Barois mentions our father Abram without naming him, when he said thus, in the 10th generation after the flood, there was among the Chaldeans a man righteous and great, and skillful in the celestial science. Okay. So now let's get to the point. This is in the Antiquities of the Jews, Book 1, Chapter 8, verse point 1. Okay, it says, he also made him a large present and money, and gave him leave to enter into conversation with the most learned among the Egyptians. Okay, this talking about Pharaoh, because Pharaoh, let me read it. Okay, real quick. Because when Abram went down into Egypt, he told Sarai, his wife, okay, who would later become known as Sarah, to basically tell them that they were brother and sister, so they wouldn't put him to death, because Sarah was bad, man. And all guys want her. So let me read that real quick. Genesis 12 and 10. And there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. And it came to pass, when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarai his wife, behold, now I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, this is his wife, and they will kill me, and they will save thee alive. Say, I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. And it came to pass that when Abram was coming to Egypt, the Egyptians beheld the woman, that she was very fair. The princes also of Pharaoh saw her, and commanded her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And he entreated Abram well for her sake. And he had sheep and oxen and he asses and manservants and maidservants and she asses and camels. Okay. Alright. Okay, so that's where we are in this account right here. We're talking about he gave him presents and stuff for Sarah's sake. Okay, or Sarai's sake. So back in Josephus, it says, he also made him a large present in money and gave him leave to enter into conversation with the most learned among the Egyptians. From which conversation his virtue and his reputation became more conspicuous than they had been before. Okay? Meaning what? So, just like bro polite, alright, trying to come up against the elders, which are prophets, okay, or he tried to reason with them with his so-called knowledge, which was failing him greatly in that his so-called debate, okay, alright, that it was the same with the Egyptians, okay, because, you know, Egypt supposed to have been the place of knowledge, okay, at that time. So when Abraham was conversing with them, alright, they saw that his virtue and his righteousness, right, and his reputation became more conspicuous than they had been before. It says, whereas the Egyptians were formerly addicted to different customs and despised one another's sacred and accustomed rites, and were very angry one with another on that account, Abram conferred with each of them, and confuting the reasonings they made use of, every one for their own practices, demonstrating that such reasonings were vain and void of truth. And that's what you're seeing now, and that's what you're going to see, because these Egyptology niggas is trying to do the same thing that they was trying to do, alright, when they came up against the truth. See, it's a difference when they was bucking up against these other camps. These other camps, they have increments of the truth, but they're not, the spirit ain't fully working with them. But then they went to the elders, and they was dealing with them in a respectful manner, but then they had a hidden agenda. So now it's open season on you Egyptians, man, you Egyptologist niggas, and we're going to prove, just like Abraham proved, that those customs of yours, that so-called deep knowledge you have, is nothing but vain and foolishness, man. Okay? It's vain and foolishness. And the only supreme truth and knowledge and wisdom and understanding is pertained in the Holy Bible, the same book you're trying to debunk and shit on. So the Lord gonna see you, man. Okay? Alright? Because it's demonstrating that such reasonings were vain and void of truth. Alright? Yeah, like you praising the woman, worshiping the woman, calling her a black woman God. That's going to be proven in that day to be vain and void of truth. Okay? And the rest of the stuff you boasting in. It says, whereupon he was admired by them in those conference as a very wise man and one of great sagacity. Alright? When he discoursed on any subject he undertook. And you saw the same when he asked the elders questions, they answered his questions. Okay, he was able to answer his questions. Okay. Just like when the Egyptians was questioning Abraham, he was able to answer it. And also prove that what they was dealing with was vain and void of truth. Okay. Alright, and this not only in understanding it, but in persuading other men also to assert to him. Meaning what? So when they would ask Abraham a question, okay, not only was he able to answer the question, okay, he was able to answer it and deal with the question with showing great levels of understanding, and then he was able to also persuade the people, alright, that what he was dealing with, which was the celestial knowledge or the celestial science, which is knowledge from heaven, Okay, okay. That